What's up, agents, and welcome back to another division video. Are you fed up of stacking? Let's face it, the Division 2 has become a stacking meta for a long time now. And do we really need all that power? Especially when we have got a global event on right now. If I head into the event timeline, we've got a global event on which is Ambush, which is basically stay still, do more damage. Well, that's cool. So let's build a build around it and not have to worry about stacking either. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Let's get straight into it. Right, so we're going to do Heroic Lincoln Memorial here. My weapon of choice is going to be my Lexington for a change. I do a lot of LMG content. I really need to flip it up a little bit. And right off the rip, I'm going to show you the build. Now, this is not going to win any awards for the best damage here, the best damage there. But we know as it stands now in 2026 that the Division 2 is really quite easy in some respects, especially when it comes to regular missions. Most of them, the cap is heroic. Yes, I know we have legendary master and things like that, but general day-to-day gameplay for a lot of players is just heroic missions. And we just do not need all of that tier 10 escalation power, because if you look at your stacking meters on them, you probably get into 10-20% tops, and therefore it's just meh. So why not go with a bit of an old school build which just works right off the rip? And as we have got Ambush on, we need to stay still. We'll lead into some in cover mechanics for once. It's an in cover shooter. It's a cover shooter. We're not this COD to run around, hop, skip, and jump, and all the rest of it. So that's essentially the thought process behind this build and what it leans into. And like I said, before someone comes in and goes, just run Perfect Obliterate, just run Vigilance, just run Unstoppable Force. Well, we could run all of that, and technically we could run Vigilance. There's no stacking there, but if we get hit, we lose it, meaning that we'd have to use a shield. So we've gone with the in cover thought process instead. So your gun doesn't have to be prototype. My Lexington just is. The only boost I'm getting over yours if you're not prototype is I've got some extra damage to target out of cover. Obviously, it's level 30 expertise. I am level 30 expertise as well. But generally, that's not that big of a boost. There's no triple god roll happening here or anything like that. I really like Measured as a talent when I come to ARs. A couple of other things you could think about here is that you could run Killer if you're playing this by yourself. You will do a lot of damage with that as well. Or you could run Optimist. That will do you a lot of extra weapon damage as well. Strained is also an option as well. That they're all kind of top tier talents. Killer would be my preference out of everything, but it is probably more dependent on you're playing solo or not. But Optimist, Strained, Killer, or Measured, all really good. But obviously this can literally be the gun of your choice. If you don't want to use your Lexington, if you want to use an LMG, you can use whatever you want. I am using the stat broker, not necessarily for stacks, but I do weapon swap to get the extra rate of fire and weapon damage as well. And as we are in this season where we lose munitions, I've done a video on this before. If we use the Whiplash, we don't actually lose our munitions, meaning that we have to farm less of them in the DZ. So we're going to start off with a Fenris piece, and essentially these can be almost anywhere apart from the gloves, the knees, and the holster. You can actually rotate these three brands anywhere you've got, depending on the gear that you've got. But we're starting off with Fenris because it gives us 10% assault rifle damage, which is really nice. We've got crit chance, crit damage everywhere as expected, because the same rules apply as every other build. Get as close to 60% critical hit chance, and away you go. Backpack, we've gone with group up, critical hit damage, crit chance, crit damage, all of that good stuff with composure, because like I said, we're going to go into cover, and that gives us 15% weapon damage. Then the chest piece, the 2-piece unit alloys bonus gives us 20% assault rifle damage. Again, really nice. Crit chance, crit damage with Overwatch. And if you're playing in a group, this is going to also buff their weapon damage by 12% as well, as you stay in cover for 10 seconds. And again, linked to the GE, you're probably going to. Now this might be the one downfall here, where if you're killing things too fast and you're not actually in cover for the 10 seconds, you don't actually ever get this bonus. If that turns out to be how it is for your build, the easy swap here is to actually have a little bit of a talent swap with some stacking and flip to your equalizer for perfect obliterate. It is going to give you weapon damage. It is a stacking talent, goes against what we've talked about already, but again, it gives us this 20% assault rifle damage here, which is really important. Then we're going to go with the salvo because it completes our 2-piece unit alloys. We really do want that. The 20% assault rifle damage is very valuable, but it also gives us rate of fire, which increases our burst. And then we're going to go with the Sawyer's knee pads. Now, Sawyer's knee pads look a bit strange. It's like they're all blue, but actually the damage talent makes them worthy. Increase total weapon damage by 3% each second you are not moving. Stacks up to 10 until you start moving. All stacks are lost 10 seconds after moving. So they're quite forgiving. We don't lose that damage straight away. And that's going to be the build. Like I said, it's completely optional. You can flip it through a few things around. If you find that Overwatch isn't working, maybe you're more of a solo player, I've give you options there. We're just going to go in here. Now, rather than do regular Lincoln, we'll just do the start of Invaded, because I need to get it cleared off for the week. You guys still clear your invasions? Maybe that needs a bit of a rework. But as you can see here now, at the moment, we are building up on Sawyers at the bottom, and we're hitting big numbers.
Enemy helicopter approaching.
Get yourself ready, Agent.
And actually, this mission actually leans. There's a lot of waiting around in this mission, so that actually was a good choice in examples. And once you kind of stacked, as you can see, no messing around and no having to wait for any kind of stacking mechanic. Or you're not really running a chess piece like Striker's chess, where you need a lot of stacks and you never really get there. It kind of leans into other arguments that, you know, we don't really need to go into Strikers anymore for this kind of content, because we've just got a lot of power generally. See if we can get some high ends or something. And as you can see, Chunga's no problem. And even when we do move, we get the Sawyer's buff for a while. Did I miss somebody? Oh, it's the chopper. And yeah, everything is definitely no problem. So yeah, nice and easy. One thing I didn't show you before we finish up, you can see here 58 crit chance, 136% critical hit damage, 75% headshot damage, 12% armor damage, and 21% health damage. Just be aware that ambush is on, so that is important. That's why you see such a huge buff in numbers. And if we were to throw it into the build calculator, which I will link down below in the description, feel free to use it. It's at DJTICKLE.com for all of your build needs. If we kind of scroll down here, you can see I put the Lexington in, I put my damage in, all of our stats that we are using here as well. No gear set bonuses, but we are using measured, Overwatch, and composure. Then we've got Sawyer's knee pads, we've got our echo, you can see here that we get some really juicy build numbers. Now, yes, this is not the huge numbers that you will be expecting. This is not including the global event, by the way. But headshot crits will get around 1 million, which is more than enough for heroic content. If we scroll down here a little bit as well, though, so heroic solo elite, which is the kind of standard point where you want to be at. As you can see, though, we can headshot kill one of them in 1.1 seconds with the armor stripped at 0.8. And that's really where a division player wants to be. You don't want to be reloading against an elite enemy at any point. You want to get at least that one magazine wants to get that down, and this does that. And you can see the damage build up here as well, and how much damage you're going to do over time. But we can do a really easy swap here, which is what I was talking about just a little bit earlier on. And if you didn't want to run Overwatch, so what we could do actually is, if I I don't know if it's going to work that way, but if we go copy to B, you can see here now we've got two identical builds. And if I head over to B and we scroll down, you don't have to do any of these changes that we talked about in game before. We could go, do you know what, I do want to run obliterate on my chest, and I'm going to switch it to the perfect chest piece. We know all the other stats will stay the same, but we scroll down here, and as you can see now, and we scroll right down to the bottom here by the graphs, that eventually we, when it gets to around 8 or 9 seconds, we do start to outpace the original build. Does that really matter, 8 or 9 seconds? Not really, because we've just figured out how fast we can kill elite enemies. So is it of any more benefit? Well, only if we're going into really, really hard content. And if you're doing that, you're probably taking strikers or something in there instead. And that's what's good about my calculator. It gives you that kind of, I can use some other things. I can use some other stats. I can perhaps incorporate something else here, because I don't really need to have that much raw power for the content that I'm playing. And again, we could do another very quick swap as well. Say you don't want to use composure. Well, I'll think about using vigilance instead. And as you can see, it's barely made any difference at all. You're still going to be killing things incredibly quick. You can see here, the actual time is the same. There's no actual, difference in the time you're going to kill the one enemy. That might get a little bit better as we get up here, but you're going to have been firing for like over 18 seconds with 1, 2, 3 reloads before you really start seeing the benefit of putting anything like that in. And with vigilance, don't forget there is downtime when you get hit. So I hope the calculator helps. I will drop the link for the build in the description if you want to check it out, and you can have a mess around with it as well and maybe alter it to your liking. But don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. Thank you for watching as always, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.